Hello?
Yo, listen dude. Listen, we are only 300 subs away from 73,000, dude.
You have to understand, just because I had a dream of being pounded in the ass doesn't make me...
So for those of you that don't know, I think the reason I am the way I am is because I got to live both sides of the spectrum, right? What I mean by that is, a lot of people, I think, you either are like the loser or you're the cool kid, right? Because most people aren't moving. Most people aren't going from here to there. They're not moving from these extremes. So usually you're the loser or the cool kid, right? And this usually follows you or stays with you. In my situation, I was both for like an equal amount of time. For this story I've told before, so I'll be quick with this one so I can get to my actual main story that I haven't told you guys in college. Now, I think the reason I am the way I am, and I talk the way I talk, and I'm so passionate about like double standards and shit like that, and you know, I know my double standard stuff comes out in one direction all the time, and you know, it could be from my experiences, I don't know. But you know, in middle school, I was a complete fucking loser, right? So coming from elementary school, from 5th grade, you know, we're all scared of, you know, what friends are going to follow, you know, who's going to still be friends. And, you know, usually from 5th grade to 6th grade, people change. Style changes. You become aware of a lot of things. And all my friends had that. I didn't. So the way I dressed in 5th grade, right, is the same way I dressed in 6th grade, right? So the same goofy little kid style. All my friends, they moved up. Like, they became aware of the way they look. They became aware of, you know, brushing their teeth. They became aware of, you know, like keeping their teeth brushed and mouthwashed every day before and after at lunchtime, right? Like they knew the freshness styles, right? Whereas me, like I brush my teeth once in the morning and then that's that. You know, like, you know, I was a kid. You know, I'd wear my short shorts, my long socks, my fucking Velcro fucking shoes that are clowny, right? Like I had my fish shirt on that had a gerbil bite in it, like glasses. So the transition from 5th grade to 6th grade, right? In 5th grade, 4th grade, 3rd grade, you know, there was a cool kid, right? I remember what the cool kid was in 5th grade and 4th grade and 3rd grade, right? There was a kid named Austin and a kid named Nick. Nick was the bad boy and Austin was like the pretty boy that's a nice guy. Like it was literally like a movie, right? Like a TV series, right? Like I remember so clearly who they were, but like it wasn't that serious. If you weren't the cool kid, it wasn't that miserable because you were so young it didn't matter, right? Like, but the transition to 6th grade, I didn't transition well, right? I still looked like I was in elementary school in 6th grade. Like not looks wise, I was growing up, my voice was deep, but the way I dressed, the way I presented myself, the way I talked. And I remember like all my friends that I thought were my friends, my best friend in the world, I remember. And this was my first actual, I remember to this day. So for those that don't know this, this was like one of the first strikes to my heart. You know, the first time I felt that feeling in regards to like society and like the social sphere, not like, you know, personal stuff, you know, in other places. I'm talking in regards to like the social sphere is my first like heartbreak, right? And I remember how it felt, that sharp pain in the chest, the shattering feeling as if everything in your stomach and chest just shattered. I had a best friend and he also became friends with this guy like over the summer of 5th grade and 6th grade with this guy named Ryan. And Ryan was a baseball player. And I remember I went to 6th grade, you know, and he was the only kid that like I was very, very good friends with, to the point where our parents were friends. We played in a league outside of school. And the first day of lunch, I remember I could cry right now saying this story because it was like my first society's heartbreak. And since I didn't adjust, right, to the cool styles and the cool, you know, talking and the cool, all that bullshit, at lunch, I'm in my line getting my tray and I am walking toward his table to sit with him, and him and his new friends look at me and he looks at me and he stands up and says, "You can't sit with us, bro. I don't like you," in front of his new friends. And I looked around. This was loud. Everyone heard. Everyone was looking at me. And I remember, man, I ended up eating in the bathroom, in the stall, by myself for a long time because of that. So I'd eat by myself in the stall, and it was just, I would cry. I would eat and cry. It was just so bad. But anyways, to get away from that, yes, that was like my first experience of the social sphere, right? And all the bullshit, all the politics that goes on. But anyways, so that happened, right? I was pretty much the loser. 6th grade, 7th grade. And then 8th grade, there was a girl in 7th grade that moved over from another middle school, and she became the hottest girl in the school. The 7th grader in our school became the hottest, most sought-after girl in the school. And for some reason, I hadn't changed still. Believe it or not, I was still like a little clowny, okay? But for some reason, she only liked me. It was something you'd see out of a TV series. She liked me and no one else, right? She would still talk to the cool kids, hang with them, right? Like, she would still get the attention from them and get invited everywhere, but she liked me. And this was before the fight that I told you guys about. Anyways, so her and I, you know, she's kind of like, you know, her being into me didn't make me cool. That wasn't it. But it made me feel like that was my first time, like, where someone like took care of me and like backed me up and actually was, she was cool enough where she could be confident in her decision to like me, where like the politics of the world wouldn't change her opinion of me, right? So that's why like there's a couple people I fuck with real heavily on Twitch, because regardless of the hate that I go through, they stick by my side, and those are the real motherfuckers, right? Because they're confident enough in themselves and their brand where they don't give a fuck how much you could damage their brand. They're still by your side. Now, anyways, so that was her for me. Now, around the same time, or maybe I was actually in 7th grade and she was in 6th grade, because the fight happened after, and the fight happened when I was in 7th grade. I remember I was in the 7th grade bathroom. It doesn't matter where I met her, but this happened before the fight. The fight was what changed everything. I believe I was in 7th grade. This is still hazy to me because I could swear 9/11 happened in like 5th grade or 6th grade for me. But I don't know. Anyways, so I had this kid in my class, and he was like, he was racist, right? But he wasn't racist against like black people. He was racist against Middle Eastern people. And, you know, it wasn't racist against black people or Mexican people or anything like that. It was only Middle Eastern. He would always, right? I'm Persian, I'm Iranian, right? So like it had nothing to do with any of that shit, right? Not that that would matter, because even the other ethnicities would have nothing to do with it either. But anyways, so this guy would always say, you know, you did 9/11, your parents did it. How are your parents alive? They were in the plane, weren't they? Did they parachute out before they hit the buildings and killed everyone? Like shit like that, right? And one day I was fed up with it. I was fed up. So I reached for my desk and I threw a punch. But I was in my desk, right? So Chris is a he does commercials now in like Hollywood and shit. Like he's going for like Hollywood stuff. Chris set up a fight between me and Shane in the bathroom. And it was a 3-minute passing period, and he was like the school's all-star wrestler. Like not all-star, but he was on like the main wrestling team. And I was just, you know, a soccer player. And we ended up fighting. He ends up getting on top of me and mounting me, and he's just punching me. Fortunately, he might have had his grappling skills down, but he didn't know how to finish the job. And I was squirming, just moving left and right, squirming. And finally, I got loose where I did a turn, and I just punched him right in the face. Like just a full hook right to the nose. And he gets up, screams, goes to the bathroom, and all you see in the bottom of the stall is just blood coming out. And I ended up breaking his nose. And to this day, I still get like in DMs of like different platforms, I get like group messages. Like I feel bad, but I get group messages saying, "Hey, Domer still got your nose crooked, boy," like shit like that, right? They still call me Domer and shit. Like, still got your nose crooked, right? I don't really answer or respond in those areas, but I see it. I still see it. Anyway, so when I beat him up, that was the day where, I don't know, like, it's crazy how that works, right? It's crazy. You end up beating the popular kid in school, and just like that, the popular kids want to be friends with you. The hot girls want to fuck you. Everyone wants to be around you. It's the weirdest thing. And I think like this experience is what triggered what triggered a lot of my shit, right? And you can't call these like rare experiences. This is literally the workings of society. You can blow this up. It's not only in high school. It's not only in middle school. It's not only in college. It's literally everywhere you look, whether it's the rap game, whether it's Hollywood, it's everywhere. It's just the workings of how we are. So this idea of how this is like some incel thing, it's not, right? Like, how the fuck can you beat someone's ass and you go from the biggest loser in school to girls wanting to fuck you, right? Like, it doesn't make nothing has changed. Nothing, except for the fact that you beat up a cool kid and now you're a little feared. Like, it's the most triggering thing when I think about it. But anyways, you know, in this time, I didn't really care about the newfound attention when it came to like girls and dudes. I stuck with that girl that had my back since the beginning. right? The hottest girl in the school. And that's when 8th grade, 7th grade hit. Long story short, to get to the point of everything, I think the reason I'm good at, I do what I do and I'm good at what I do and I'm passionate about it is 'cause it's like at a very young age I've experienced it. I was on both sides. So for about, 2 years, I experienced, the praise, the love, whether it was for a reason or no reason, right? I got it. Like, any party I was in, any address, it was texted to me, right? Like I had it, anything I wanted, it was mine, right? Like it's just crazy the amount of power people will give you when they fucking love you over nothing, right? Like as far as like the popularity circle goes, any chick, right? It didn't matter, right? It didn't matter. Like it didn't matter if it just didn't matter, right? Like you could walk up to a girl and say, hey, you want to make out? Like you could be that corny. And she's like, yeah, let's go. Like it was just the craziest power, right? But anyways, so for 2 years I experienced that, right? Basically whatever I wanted, I had. As far as like girls and, parties went, I had. Now this ended up worrying my parents. They kind of saw the signs that I was going down the path of a fucking loser, right? Like, so at that time, what we saw as cool was actually the path of a fucking loser, which now I see, right? Everyone that had that power is now a fucking loser. So I didn't understand it at the time, but my parents were fucking worried, right? So they end up moving me from that entire district. Like I ran it with my friends. We're talking an entire district of schools. Every school in that district, like me and my boys ran it. And when I say boys, I use that very fucking lightly because they weren't actually my boys. They were kids that took me in after the fight was won. I moved to a new school, new area, new district, right? We're talking an hour away. And as you know, right, I was a complete fucking clown, complete loser. When I say that, I'm talking in the eyes of others. Now, for some reason, girls didn't think so, but only privately, right? It was like that. So in this new school, I was clowned on, I was hit, spit on, fucked up shit, right? But most of it was mental. Most of it was a mental fucking bullying or harassment, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? Most of it was that kind of fucked up shit. Besides me making varsity freshman year. When I made varsity freshman year and I ended up becoming the leading goal scorer on the team and then second leading in Arizona, that's when my teammates started like tripping me, punching me, hitting me, like, like gang beating up on me, like fucked up shit, right? And obviously the coach, he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And I can't sit there and say, they're hitting me, coach, right? I'm going to lose all respect to the team. I won some games, took some hits. I remember there was a game where I think I had braces and we were down and it was against this cocky private school. Like they're like, their sports are top in like fucking Arizona. I think it was like, I think college was or the high school was Brophy or some shit. And I remember I went into the game and I didn't give a fuck. Like there was a ball that was crossed and I had braces. And I remember like this guy came out to clear the ball and I didn't care. I went in to head the ball so low that the guy came to kick. He kicked me right in the mouth. My lips got stuck to my braces, ripped my mouth, blood everywhere, but the ball went in the goal and we ended up winning. And that was the day I gained the respect, right, of my team, and all the bullying on the team ended. That was for soccer. So back to school. So, and I'll get to the end of it all. And I've told you the end, right? The end, I'll just tell you now because it's irrelevant. So at the end of senior year, when everything ends, right, I asked the dudes that would bully me on a daily fucking basis. I'm like, why the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck did I do to you guys, right? And I'm a very confrontational person. I'm very open, right? Like if I think there's an issue between us, I'm one, and all my friends will vouch for that. If I feel like you're annoyed at me, I will give you a call. I'll be like, yo, bro, I feel irritation. What's up? That's me. I don't just like feel awkward and push you away. Like I will do the communicating because I understand from all my experience, if you don't communicate, something very small will turn into something very big and you will lose friendships. And it all will start like from something so simple as just, oh, well, I bought you food Thursday. You were supposed to buy me food Friday, but I paid twice in a row. Something as small as that, if you don't notice it, and you might just be so fucking unaware. You might have like not even meant it. You've always done the switch off, but this one time you weren't thinking. And in his head, it's intentional, right? Because he's perceiving it differently. He thinks you ratted that extra meal. Now, the small little thing over a simple, mature conversation can be fixed, turns into this huge thing because no one's communicating. And now you're not friends. You've lost a friend and you'll never be friends, or it'll never be the same again, right? So that's why you have to always communicate. So I'm very confrontational with like communicating of like if there's issues. I asked the guy at the end of school, at the end of senior year, I'm like, because this guy also, I'll tell you a story throughout. This guy also, his girlfriend was on the yearbook committee. And every year, have you seen those TV series or movies where like every year the bully does something to the kid that gets bullied, where the whole school sees and everyone laughs? That's literally me, right? This guy would go to his girlfriend and they'd edit something in like the most popular page that you turn to. And there's a page where like everyone looked at it. It was called like where you see the guy in like 20 years, right? Everyone would go to that, like most likely to be, right? And every year he'd go in there and tell her to put this in there of my name. And, you know, at the time, and this also goes to like what I rant about today. So to rewind before we finish that sentence of the yearbook, hold that there. So this will go exactly with what we ran today, right? You see how live stream fail, they'll give me shit when I react to videos. But now every single person they jerk off, right? If you guys know, like, I don't know if you saw it back when I was doing Gordo or South Park or even just Daily Dose. They're like, this train has no content. He deserves to be banned off the site. Now, all the guys they circle jerk and drink their fucking cum to every day on live stream fail with 7 posts of them, all of them are watching the TLC fucking show nonstop, watching 6 other fucking YouTube videos for their only content for 10 hours straight, and nothing's being said but praise, right? Now, this story is going to match to this. Watch this. So, my car that I got in high school, I ended up getting an SUV Benz. It was like sitting on 24s, tinted, with this amazing sound system. Now, I got a lot of shit for that car, right? A lot of shit, and I didn't understand why. But I ended up getting a lot of shit. And so for those of you wondering how I got that, you know, I didn't get like a brand new car. Like I just got a car that was like my parents and it was just handed down to me because they were getting a new car. They could have sold it, you know, for a lower amount. It was like older, you know, it was still relatively new, but it was older. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like that. It wasn't like I got my super sweet 16, you know, brand new off the lot, right? So keep that in mind. Now, anyways, I'm still thankful and grateful. I just want to let you know that. So anyways, I'm getting shit from everybody, right? The cool kids are saying, you know, it's for girls. The fucking girls are saying, you know, it's for this. Everyone's pissed. Everyone's giving me shit. And long story short, I end up, you know, giving in to the bullshit. And, you know, I end up making a deal with my parents where if I can, like, take a certain test and get good grades and get, like, half-ride scholarship, you know, and save them money in that aspect, they'll get me a new car. So I ended up trading that car for another car. And when I got the other car, guess what? The very cool kids that shit-talked me, one of the main ones got the same car that I used to have. And it was the coolest thing in the fucking world. Everyone would go around it, see how fucking dope it is. But when I had it, it was a chick's car. When I had it, it was for fucking old men. It was for moms, right? So I'm very experienced when I see what the fuck's going on by a bunch of little insecure cucks, right? That's why I call out LSF so much. They literally circle jerk their little popular kids that don't make them feel attacked, that make them feel secure to support them. But as soon as they experience something that makes them insecure, they want to bring it down. That's how I know. These aren't narratives. I've been through them over and over again, right? Now, anyways, so to go back. So in the yearbook, every year until I gave my car up, they'd put in the yearbook, Tyler Nicknam, most likely when he's 40 years old, to still be driving his mom's car. And every year I looked at that, and every year I'd be walking in the hallways and people would laugh and point, girls to guys, and make so much fun of me for it. And that's one of the reasons I ended up just giving in and giving the car up. And then what? They get it, and then that becomes the cool car. So anyways, so that's that story. Now anyways, so I went through both sides. I've gone through where no matter what I do, it's the loser thing. And no matter what I do, it's the cool thing. I've lived both avenues. And I think that's why I have that perspective to like rant on what I rant about, right? I've been on both sides, and most people can't really say that. You know, to live on both sides for that long and to experience the different biases and the different ways things work over nothing, right? Over like simple, weak emotions of men and women, right? Like insecurities, jealousies, you know, things like that. You begin to see a lot. Now, so I wanted to explain that. Obviously, there's a lot more in high school I could go over, but let's jump to the college stuff. Proof that Twitch is just high school drama? Oh, for sure. It 100% is. I mean, like, there's so many signs that I see that a lot of you think I'm ranting or, doing this or doing that, but it's like, it's so fucking true. And if you guys could just go through it as I did, you would see it too, right? Like, trust me, there are like, anyways, let's not go off track too much. But anyways, so I asked him, and this guy's name was Ethan. I'm like, what the fuck did I do to you guys? Right? And I've told this story as well. Like, a lot of the bullying always also happened in the football coach's class. The football coach was the English teacher, and he was reliving high school. He was reliving his high school experience that he didn't get to have as the cool kid. He was reliving it in his 45-year-old body as the high school football coach, and he'd pretty much do unto others as was done unto him. So when the cool kids would, in class, Ethan would sit behind me, and randomly when the teacher had his back to us, Ethan would just do a full-on punch to my back to the point where I'd be like, oh, right? It would create a voice coming out of me because it was so fucking hard. And the coach would always look, and Ethan and the footballers would be laughing, and I would always get in trouble, always. And at the end of school, at the end of the senior year, I'd ask him, what the fuck was all this, bro? What the fuck did I do? And his answer is pretty much, I guess, something similar to the answer I give you guys to why Livestream Fail or 6 other news sites or whoever the fuck does it to me. Their answer was, when you first walked into school on your first day, we didn't like how you walked into our school with your head up so high. To us, it looked like you thought you owned the place. To us, it looked like you were too happy, too confident, too comfortable. And we wanted to bring you down to the level we thought you should be at. That was his exact answer to me, right? So that's why I've always told you, like, when I get this stupid-ass bias, right? It's because of insecurity. They perceive it as I have this fucking threatening aura that they need to bring down because I'm threatening their very fragile safe space they've created around themselves. That's why if you notice, right, like there's certain people that, they might be not so bad looking, they might be not so, or they might be a little funny, they might be this or that, right? But they give them full credibility for that. But when you think about their auras, it's a very like soy boyish, soft, like there is nothing to threaten you. You can kind of justify yourself saying, oh yeah, he's this, he's that. I can admit it, right? Because there's nothing threatening there. But then like when you go to people like, me that might be like, look at me right now. Like I'm looking at you, like I could see why people perceive that. Look at me. I mean, I look kind of fucking mean. Like I look like if you came and made a joke, I'd smack you across the fucking face, right? So I get it. But is it right? Fuck no, it's not. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? So yeah, so that was that, right? And that's kind of like, I trust me, I've been through a lot of shit like regarding like the social sphere, right? Maybe not a lot of shit regarding like serious, life, I don't want to say life-threatening, but because I've been through that shit too. But I mean, like, some people in the world, they can't get water or food on the table. But these comparisons are extreme, right? But relative to the social sphere, the social politics of how things kind of operate, I've been through a lot of that bullshit. So that's where a lot of my rants come from when I see the bullshit that's happening. Now, anyways, to get to the college stuff, right? So college kind of went the way high school did, right? It was weird, but, I also, in college, I also was on 2 sides. And the second side I was on, I grew to appreciate, and to this day I miss. Like, to this day, I'll still visit the campus by myself, and I'll just walk along the campus. I have permission from my, professors. A lot of the professors I made friends with are in high-up places over there, like on the board, and they give me a little pass. I can just walk freely, and I can go wherever I want in the campus, like any class, any fucking corridor. And I walk, and I get a lot of nostalgia. The second half was good, right? Obviously, ASU isn't the most collegiate of campuses, but there are certain schools in ASU that are rated top 20, right? Within. But overall, yeah, you're right. I don't know what it is overall, 150th. I don't know what it is. But there are certain schools in ASU that are rated very well. And in these departments, some of the buildings, some of the vibes are just they're very nice. Like I feel like I'm in a little like what's that movie? Narnia, right? Like I'm feeling like I'm entering it. So that half was amazing for me. I made great friends, met great people. Some of them twisted in the head. I think one of them is in a mental asylum, like up in New York right now. But him and I wrote some amazing things together, things that would chill you to the bone. And that motherfucker's nuts. I still keep in touch with him. He's a good guy. Just a little batshit. Now the first half was insane. The first half, I was, god damn. The first half, I was in a similar spot as where I was after college ended and I started doing like a lot of streaming stuff. I was like insecure and like trying to find myself. And the things that I thought were cool were actually just completely clowny and degenerate. And I wasn't there yet. And that was my first half of college, like in the scene of like partying, right? And I did some very stupid shit. As you guys know, if there is one drug out of all drugs, right? There is bad drugs in the world. Very bad, right? But there is one that will turn you into a completely different person. It's none of those things you're saying. No. Not coke, not meth, not heroin, no. There's one pill that it isn't as bad as like, you know, the heroin or the meth, but for some reason, this thing will single-handedly change you. The worst, most evil sides. Yeah, I see it now. Xanax. If you overdo Xanax, you'll find yourself in your best friend's house with his fucking flat screen TV in your jeans, thinking you're fucking smooth and sly. You understand? I've seen it. Xanax is just like that. It's known, too. Out of all the drugs, there isn't any other drug. You could pop a perk, you could pop an oxy, right? You're just chilled out, maybe a little asshole. That's it. Xanax is the one pill where if you're around a guy that's on Xanax, you better fucking check your pockets. I don't care if you're at your mom's house. I don't care if he's at his mom's house. You better keep your shit in check. That is the stealing pill. That pill, you will steal everything and anything, and you have no fucking clue that you're doing it, right? And when you sober up, you'll feel terrible. But in that state of mind, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so just for future reference, if, you know, obviously stay away from that. But if you have a friend that's on that shit, be very careful where you leave your wallet, no matter how much you trust him, because that's not him. So there's a lot of dumb shit happening, right? So, you know, I went to a party with my boy, and this motherfucker's crazy, right? This kid, him and I ended up, like, it's actually crazy, because it's like, I don't know how we came together. You know, he changed a little bit, but, you know, he was one of the dudes in high school that, like, you know, fucked with me. But somehow, like, in college, we ended up, like, coming together and, like, things, like, were okay. But it was a weird, like, rekindling. Now, him and I became like, a duo, like, in the first 2 years of college. And it wasn't a good duo. Because, like, this dude, like, he's fucking wild, right? You know, he was one of those dudes where, like, you know, every high school had that one kid where, like, you knew, like, he was going to, every time he went home, you know, his dad was a drunk, like, ex-military, and he would just beat the fuck out of him, right? And, you know, the stories were like, you know, you'd go to his house and, you know, out of nowhere, the dad would, like, come into the room and be like, hey, square up. And the friends would just be sitting there, and, like, him and his dad would just start boxing, like, full on, until one of them's out. So this guy was fucking wild. Long story short, him and I end up going to a party at ASU when we were in college. And this story is going to be another little movie story, so some of you won't believe it, but crazy shit. So we go to this party, and there was this condo / apartment area called The View. And at the time, it was the hot spot. Right now, it's probably a little ghetto, but at the time, it was like the most expensive hot spot. Now, we go up to this party, just him and I, and we both have a handle, right? Because back in the day, if you're showing up to a party, you better have alcohol or women. It's just that simple, right? It's just how it worked. So we show up with a handle each, going to the party, and we're just getting fucked up. I'm outside, okay? I can't find him, okay? I can't find him at all. And I'm outside, you know, there's this chick, and she just doesn't give a fuck. She's sitting there, you know, grinding up on me. We're hooking up a little bit. And he's just nowhere to be found. And I'm drinking a beer outside. And there's this group of dudes. You know, two of them, I didn't know who they were. One of them, he was a mutual. I've done some, you know, shady shit, you know, my friends and him. So I know him, but we're not boys. And then the fourth guy is that, like, 6 foot fucking, this huge 6'9", like, fucking 250 pure steroid muscle. Like, we're talking some, like, monkey gorilla genetics, right? Out of nowhere, he turns on me. And I don't know if it's because, you know, they were all by themselves and, like, you know, one of the only girls there was grinding up on me. So I don't know if he was doing some kind of, like, territorial challenge to try and steal the girl. But that's all I can really come up with to, like, rationalize why he did this. He turns to me. He's like, give me your beer. right? Like alcohol's running low. He's like, give me your beer. I want it. Like, the fuck? I'm like, fuck no, bro. So he's like, if I can't have it, you can't either. So he smacks it out of my hand. So then he has a hat on, and we're on like the fucking like 15th story. So I fucking quickly, I smack his hat off his head, and it flies off the building, right? This dude's got a goofy ass haircut. So he's not happy. And at that point, him and I grab each other by the collars, and everyone's like, move this outside. So we go outside into the door area, right? And I remember there was these three dudes, okay? And obviously ethnicity doesn't matter, but like, shit. So there was like some cool, there was some like, you know, my man, you know, cool, you know, just like, they're funny. Every comment that comes out of their mouth are just cracking jokes, right? It's like, you know, like, you know those kids that are always walking around like, you know, commenting on everything like lanky. You know, he's like, you know, like I'm walking around, you know, he's calling me a lanky ass, you know, everything's a joke, right? Everything's just, you just want to crack the fuck up and like smoke a blunt with the guy. He's just funny as fuck, right? So these are the three dudes, right? Like they're setting the fight up, and they're just just dropping like one-liners that are just hilarious. And I can't stop laughing. I'm fucked up. And this guy, he squares up. Everyone has their camera phone out. The whole party's in the hallway, and the hallways are narrow. We're talking maximum, like the hallways are like 4 feet across, right? Just weird stuff. Anyway, so me and this guy, he's like he's huge, right? He's easily got 9 inches on me, right? Height wise. And he's easily got like 30 or 40 pounds on me. He's a big guy, right? We square up, and I don't know, bro. Listen, I'm confident in my fighting skills. I'm confident in them, right? You know, I have a lot of experience, but what happened this night, even to this day, I play back and I don't know how to justify what happened. You know, I think, you know, a lot of us, I think we've had that feeling where like someone fucks with us and we think about like, you know, I wish I had superpowers where like they walk up and you can just flick them away and they fucking fly back. And everyone's like, right? This was a situation where that kind of happened, right? Except it wasn't super strength. It was like some Neo from the Matrix dodging. You know, usually my style is very simple, okay? I have a big head, a very bony head, you know, like pretty much the way it looks, it is, right? It just, you know, this thing, you know, and maybe I'm a dumbass for it. Maybe I've lost some brain cells because of it. But usually in a fight, you know, I dip and dodge. But usually I'll sacrifice the 1 or 2 direct hits to my face just to get in with the guy and get him into a chokehold and fuck him up, right? That's usually my style, right? So that's why like that night was so crazy to me. So I remember we were squared up and I was so fucked up, right? I was probably at the level right before you get the spins and you need to throw up, right? The level where you start getting a thick saliva and you cannot, I don't care how much you drink, you can't stop it. You're getting the spins and you're throwing up. I was the level right before that. And that level is amazing. That level, you probably can convince yourself you can fly, right? That's where I was at. And bro, I just remember, like, even though I was so fucked up, I remember just so clearly, man, like this guy, like when he was throwing punches, have you seen those like TV series with Superman where he can just like, he sees the punch and he can just like look at it? You know what I'm talking about? He's looking at the fucking punch that's going by. I shit you not, this was me. I keep playing it back in my head because I know, even though I'm confident in my shit, I know I could never, you know, call it what you want. I know I could never reciprocate what I did. It was so insane to me, bro. This guy is throwing punches and I shit you not only am I dodging them, but I'm cracking up. That's how cocky I was. I was laughing. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, I'm laughing as I'm looking at his punches and dodging and dipping. And in between all of that, somehow, in that millisecond time, I'm also throwing jabs and just fucking him up. And I'm cracking up the whole time. Like, I remember this so clearly. And to this day, I'm still perplexed. I still don't understand what happened. It's as if a computer program uploaded into my mind Matrix style in that fight. Like, I should not have won that. And that was that, dude. And the dudes were recording, and the 3 guys were commentating, laughing too, and that's probably why I was cracking up. And here's the crazy part. So during all of that, somehow the fight, before we got outside, before we moved it outside, we got into a scuffle on the way outside. So this is before the fight ended. When we're in the kitchen moving the fight to the corridor area, to the hallway, I remember I threw a punch and I missed him and I hit the bathroom door. And these apartments, most of these college dorm apartments, I don't care how expensive they are, the walls and the doors are paper thin. You could probably barely tap it and you're going to have a dent in it, right? It's just very thin. And when I punched it, I remember I took my arm out and you could see a hole in the door. And this is the part that's going to sound like the movie that I was talking about earlier. The whole night I was wondering where my friend was, okay? And I punched the door and I take my arm out and we look inside the hole and my friend, all I always see are his ass cheeks. And he's clapping this girl that lives in the apartment just on the sink. And that's where my friend was. And he looks like, what the fuck? I'm like, bro, get out here. I'm about to fucking throw down. He's like, oh shit, I'm coming. And that was before the fight. And this is the part where I just know half of you won't believe it. It is just some of the shit that I've gone through, I'm telling you, is so, like, I could write a book on this. I could write a movie with, like, Seth Rogen and fucking James Franco, where the fuck his name is. And it'd be a funny, successful fucking movie. Like, it was just hilarious, dude. Absolutely fucking hilarious. Like, and that was right before the fight. Yeah, I remember. I pull my hand down. I just his ass cheeks clapping on the fucking. He's fucking like a rabbit. Just some shit out of fucking Eminem 8 Mile. Like, just fucking crazy, bro. And yeah. Anyway, so as I was saying, the next day we get invited to a party. This one's not at ASU. It's back where we're both from, Scottsdale. So we drive, to Scottsdale, and we, I go to his house and I go to his like dorm and, pick him up. We drive to Scottsdale and we end up at this house. And this is the typical Scottsdale house, party's going on. And I walk in and guess whose house it is? The exact group of kids I just got into a fight. The exact group of kids I just got into the fight with. So my friend is talking to the mutual that I know. And I'm outside with the guy I just like beat his ass, his two friends that are his exact same size, and I'm out there by myself in the group of 3 drinking a beer with him. And I'm looking at him, and listen, this has to be one of the most awkward times I've had. I've had many awkward times, and I'm sure we'll pass through them in other stories we'll tell different nights. But I looked at him, and I could barely remember that night, even though it was just before, right? Like, I could remember the big details, but I couldn't remember, like, I don't know, it's weird. His eye was fully red. Like, every blood vessel in that eye was popped. It was just fully red, black eye, face beat up bad. And I didn't remember, even to this day, like, I didn't remember my punches hitting that hard. Dude, his face was fucked up. And, like, I almost just couldn't look at him. Like, because I'm not like that. I'm not. I'm a very peaceful person, believe it or not. I'm just not like that. Like, I feel very bad. Like, when I kill an insect, I'm like telling 17 different prayers because I think I'm going to hell, right? Like, I'm not like that. I'm not. When I'm sober, like, if I'm not fucked up, like, I'm not like that. I thought I'm going to get jumped right there, but no. He actually reached his hand and he's like, hey, my bad, bro. He's like, it was wrong of me to, approach you and do that. I'm like, hey, my fault too. And we ended up squashing it. And to this day, we're actually friends. Me and that guy are actually, I wouldn't say we're friends, but we're the equivalent of friends where if I meet someone for the first time on Twitch, right? Like, if we see each other, it's like, hey, what up, bro? Right? So it's actually insane. Yeah. Fucking nuts.
It was fucking hot. Okay.